Welcome, sir. Without a problem, I was trying for you actually. Can you hear us?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Good morning, one and all. Yeah. Good. 1 second, let me see. Good morning, one and all. As different activities towards International Day of Yoga Celebrations 2020 at the Department of Faculty of Yoga Sciences and Therapy, Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education and Research. We have under EPG Pathshala and Consortium for Educational Communication, a special webinar online workshop is handled by today by Dr. B. Sendil Kumar, Assistant Professor, Amrita Darshanam, Coimbatore. And sir is handling about classical asana techniques to us, and with interactive session. In between, sir will be even giving us a chance for an interaction where he can clear us the doubts also. So we welcome you, sir, on behalf of Faculty of Yoga Sciences and Therapy, and as well as Meenakshi Academy of Higher Education and Research Center. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, one and all present here. I would like to start this session with a prayer to Sage Patanjali as well as Krishnamacharya. I request all of you to sit in the generic position, and the hands will be in the Namaskar Mudra. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacha Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarutam Nagaram Bhutinam Patanjalim Pranjali Ranatosmi Avapu Purushakaram Shankhachakrasi Dharinam Sahasrashirasam Svetam Pranamami Patanjali Srimati Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Vagisha Yatishwarabhya Samrata Chakra Bhashyasa Srinu Narangetra Yatau Samarpitasvam Sri Krishna Madhyam Guruvarya Vide Virudhi Kartike Mase Shatatara Kritodayam Yogacharyam Krishna Maryam Guruvaryamaham Bhaje Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. First of all, I would like to start this session with a gratitude towards my teacher, Ilangon sir, one of my teachers, Ilangon sir, as well as Sri Devi ma'am. And today we are going to discuss just a minute. Can you still see me, ma'am? Devi ma'am?
Yeah, we can see you, but voice is little this thing. You can adjust your earphones. Yeah.
Now is it clear, ma'am?
Yes, very clear.
Yes. So today's our topic is classical asana techniques. And before getting into the topic, I would like to give some brief introduction and some basic information. And some of you would be familiar with that, and some of you would be, it would be new to you. And this information would be very helpful for you to as in proceeding the session. And classical asana techniques. Okay, first of all, we'll see what is asana, then we will see what's a technique and what's a how it is going to be useful for as a yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and how we can help others with the asana. And if you take the word asana, it is derived from the Sanskrit root word called asbhuvi. It means to place. What we have to place? There will be a question. Placing the body parts in a particular way, in a particular position, with awareness to get the positive effect of benefits. So here, it's very clear. It is not just bending forward and doing arch, and every day we are doing all kind of action. Even now also I'm talking, as I'm talking, I'm moving my hands and everything. But that sometimes what happens, I'm focusing on my lecture, I'm doing without awareness certain movements. And I may adjust my hairstyle, any movement I can do. But asana, it is not like other unaware of movements. It is completely with the awareness, whatever you do. So here awareness, how can bring awareness in the asana practice? That is also will be a big question. I will address that one. And before that, and the asana we are talking, and according to Sage Patanjali, there will be two qualities of asana. That is stiram and sukham. That we have to maintain throughout the asana practice. And how we can do the asana practice with complete awareness, there will be a question, isn't it? I'll asked you. And here we can use the tool called breathing. Breathing component is the tool to connect the body as well as mind. And we can see how asana is so important. Asana is, we know, one of the tools of yoga, which is very, very important, essential tool. And why then hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, please.
Oh, sir. So I would like to give some brief idea about asana benefits as well as some definitions, and also about pranayama, that is breathing, how the breathing is very important in the asana practice. Then when we get into the classical asana technique, it will be more effective and we can get the complete benefit of this session. And very sorry, pardon with me, because this is my first online session. Generally, it will be like in-person sessions, and it will be more interactive. And looking at the camera and
Sendil Kumar sir,
yes.
we have been
Yes,
the platform for so many newcomers like you. So you need not worry. We are all very supportive team here. Okay, you can enjoy your first session. Okay, without any problem.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Making me very comfortable. Okay, why we should do asana practice? So I would like to share with the following points why asana has become so important. From morning to till night and birth to till death, we are engaging in a lot of activities. All the activities we are doing with this body, isn't it? So we can say there is a definition, and Sharira Madhyam Aludharma Sadhanam. That is, we are doing all our duties with the help of this body. Even if I want to drink a glass of water, my hand has to be coordinated and with my mind, and I have to take the glass of water properly, I can drink like that. So from morning to till night, I am doing all the activities with the help of body, so that we have to take care of this body. And as a yoga teacher, when we are teaching yoga practice, asana becomes a very, very important tool. Because if a person has some health issues, even that could be a mental health or anything, directly we could not give them some pranayama or meditation practice. So we have to deal in a very gross level of practice. So we should give them very gross level of practice, which is able for them to focus and do it very easily. And also, if you want to do the higher advanced practices in yoga, like doing a meditation for half an hour or 1 hour, the sadhana, or else you want to do some pranayama for half an hour, nadi shuddhi pranayama, whatever technique you are doing, sitting in the cross leg, your body should support you to sit comfortably. So if I ask a person to do meditation, he may be able to do it, but he could not sit comfortably for 5 minutes because his muscles could not be supportive, and so his joints will start paining after 5 minutes or few minutes later. So in that case, so asana practice will be preparation. And this asana practice technique, we are going to deal with that also. And so how to classify, how to understand the asanas better way so that we can teach the asanas in better way to the students, as well as you can use as a yoga therapy tool also. Next, we will see the asana techniques. What is asana techniques? Generally, when you take asana, we can classify majorly in a 5 category. And to understand that posture better, for example, I will take Tadasana. All of you know, okay, Tadasana. And first classification is the meaning. What's the meaning of Tadasana? The name, posture name. So in translate, if you want to see the translation, it's a palm tree pose. First one, first classification. And second one is classifying the asana in following category. Whether that asana is starting from the standing or seated or lying, that kind of classification we should know. And second one is whether that asana is symmetrical or asymmetrical. And also we have to see the classification whether that posture is static posture or dynamic posture. So I'm going to discuss in detail what are the things I am sharing with you right now. And then later on, what breath, with what breath we are going to reach the posture. And next one is function of the posture, where it's going to work and how it's going to work. And then finally, other important aspects. This is how we have to classify the asanas. If you classify each and every asanas with this classification, so that you can understand the posture better, and when there is a need of using the asanas, we can choose the appropriate posture for that particular. We won't say patients, we will say students. We can give it students so that appropriate posture will give a lot of benefits to that particular student, and it will be what are the requirements is needed, and it will be fulfilled based on. And I was telling you Tadasana, and here I may use certain stick diagram. I will draw and show you the postures, what I am discussing here. And if possible, participants also can use your notebook and drawing some classification if you have. It's like a kind of workshop. If it is in person, it will be so nice, like interactive, and we can have a wonderful session. But still, with this crisis situation, we will do our best and we can have a nice session. So as I was telling you, first I will take an example of Tadasana. Tadasana, the meaning of Tadasana is palm tree, as I was telling you earlier. And classification, first I will show you what is Tadasana. I request all the participants to look at the camera. Is it visible? Otherwise, I will make it a little more bigger. This posture is the goal posture. Starting posture is Samasthiti. From here, I'll be going to, on inhalation, going to the Tadasana position. From there, exhalation coming back to the Samasthiti position. So here, if you see the Tadasana, this is the posture. I'm going to classify the asana. So if you see the starting posture or starting position is, I'm reaching the posture from the standing. Isn't it? I'm starting from standing position and reaching the goal posture and standing and coming back to the same standing position. So first classification would be like a standing. Second one is, okay, this is standing. Could you give any other examples? So if you ask me, this is a standing. Second one, something like a seated asana. I can show you. I hope many of you would have heard about Chakravagasana. This is the final posture. For this, you should start from the seated Vajrasana. So from Vajrasana to inhalation, you are standing up on your knees. And then on exhalation, you will be moving forward to the Vajrasana forward bend. Then from there, inhalation, you are reaching the goal posture called Chakravagasana. So this is the kneeling sequence. You can see. And if you see some of the example, I can show you normal Sukhasana. You can stretch your legs and you can go to the Dandasana position. And you can, there are a lot of steps. We will see. Lying Sarvangasana, I will go to the lying position. From there, I will reach the Sarvangasana position. There is a Vinyasa Krama. So it is not like a directly I'm getting into the Sarvangasana position or else to the Shirsasana position. So where I am starting, how I am starting, the starting position is one of the classification and we should know that also. And as I am going one after another asanas, you can understand how it is very important as well as how it will be so useful for as a yoga teachers to cater the need of the students. And this is the first classification standing. Second classification, Tadasana. Again, I will take the same example, Tadasana. Whether it is the Purvatana or Paschima or Parivriti or else, what else I can say? Viparita, inversion posture. Okay. Purvatana, Purva means it's a back arch. How the classification, this classification happens based on how the spinal movement is happening. Okay. If I raise my hands and heels up from Samasthiti, and also there is the spine gets elongated towards up, there is an opener. So there is a mild back arch happening. Here it is very mild back arch. For example, if I say Dhanurasana, so entire spine will be okay arched backward, isn't it? So how the spine is moving. So this is coming under Purvatana, like that. Purva means back arch, Paschima means bending forward, and Parivriti means twist. Spine is getting twisted. For example, for twist position, Paschima, if I want to give the example, Paschimottanasana. The name there itself it is there. And something else like a Upavishta Konasana, leg opening and bending forward. Even Apanasana, simple Apanasana, that is also coming under the classification of Paschima. Okay, where the abdomen is getting contracted, spine is okay, getting moving towards front, posterior. So it is called Paschima. If it is moving, spine is moving anterior way, okay, towards backward, it is called Purva. And if spine is getting twisted, it is called Parivriti. For example, Trikonasana Parivritti. And Pashva, if it is a Pashva, means lateral, where the spine is moving towards laterally, it is called Pashva. And the inverted posture, that is called Viparita. And another category is the special category, that is Vishesha, that is balance. For example, Natarajasana. And it has a Natarajasana has a Purvatana also, but mainly balancing. And for example, Virabhadrasana 2, that is generally Virabhadrasana, you know, it used to be like this, Virabhadrasana. And another Virabhadrasana 2 is like a balancing with a one leg. It's like a kind of Shalabhasana, but one leg will be landed on the floor. Shalabh. From here, there will be some steps to transit to this position, this posture. So, I know whether it will be clear visibly. It's visible. Is it? What are the posture I am showing you? Is it visible? Anyone could acknowledge?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this is Vishesha. First one, as I was telling you, standing, you can take down notes. If there is any doubt, again, you can ask me. Mainly, first one is very beginning, name of the posture. Under classification, second subtopic, classification, whether the asana is starting from the standing, seated, lying, prone, supine, like that we have to see. Next classification, sub-classification, the second topic, whether it's a Purvatana or Paschima, otherwise Parivritti, this category. I'll move to the third subtopic, that is whether the posture is symmetrical or asymmetrical. When I was a student, beginner, this concept I could not understand. What is symmetrical, what is asymmetrical? Okay, if I do some asana, okay, 6 times I have to do it. If, for example, say this Tadasana is a symmetrical posture, but this Virabhadrasana, once if I do my left leg 6 times or 5 times, 4 times, same number of times I have to repeat with the other side. For example, one side I am doing a Ardha Machendrasana. I am staying for 6 breaths in Ardha Machendrasana, not 12 breaths I am staying in Ardha Machendrasana. I should not leave the practice just like that, with a 6 breaths with a one side twist to the left side twist. I have to repeat the same twist to the other side also. So, this symmetrical, asymmetrical. Symmetrical means one side, if I do, for example, if I do the Paschimottanasana or Uttanasana, forward bend, or Utkatasana, these are all, I can do it only once. If I cut my body, for example, cut my body, it is symmetrically distributed, evenly it is distributed. When we do asana practice, if it is a body is evenly placed, it is symmetrical postures. If it is asymmetrical, one leg is forward, other leg is backward, then again I have to do the other side. Okay. Any other example? Let's see, do it like a Trikonasana. Example, very simple posture, Trikonasana. All of us know that. I will draw you here, Trikonasana Parivritti. Can I start my Trikonasana practice only doing with only 6 times with my right side and leaving it to the other side? No. Then what happens? It will create some misalignment in my twist, in my spine, as well as my muscular region. So what I have to do, if I repeat with the left side for 6 times, I should repeat with the other side also 6 times, because it's not a symmetrical posture, it's an asymmetrical posture. Okay. Even there could be a Parivritti or Pashva. So this classification also we should be very clear. After that, the posture, which I can do dynamic way or it is a static position. Okay, mostly all the practices would be like a dynamic practice only. Only few postures we have in a static posture. Any example? Even here itself I can say this is dynamically we can do it. 6 times we can repeat this Tadasana. 6th time I can stay for few breaths, 1 or 2 breaths. So I can do repeat as well as stay. If it is Trikonasana, I can repeat both the sides 6 times, left, right, left, right, left, right. Then I can last 2 times or 1 time, last time I can stay this side 6 breaths, this side 6 breaths, or else maybe 12 breaths also. Why we should do dynamic and static, that also lot of logical reasons are there, and it has a lot of benefits also, where we have to give dynamic postures, where some people we have to give static postures, for some people it needs a dynamic postures, and where and how, according to the need of the requirement of the student, we have to decide. If time permits, we will discuss that also. Okay, I am telling everything the dynamic posture. This one is dynamic, Trikonasana, even Virabhadrasana, I can do dynamic way, I can stay. I can stay also. Then which is the example for static posture? You may have a doubt. For example, Ardha Machendrasana. The body is locked, you cannot repeat again and again. And you have to stay there for 12 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever. Okay, I hope all of you are yoga teachers and you know the Ardha Machendrasana. Seated twist, Ardha Machendrasana. And okay, any other example? Dhanurasana. Urdhva Dhanurasana, we can take an example. Some of the tradition, they call it is a Chakrasana, Purna Chakrasana. And in the tradition where I learned and I practice Krishnamacharya tradition, so here we used to say it is Urdhva Dhanurasana. So spine is entirely twist. I cannot repeat again and again. Okay, if it is a very advanced practitioner, he wants to prepare some very advanced asanas, I can do it. But generally, it will be a locked position. Even if you see the Dhanurasana, I could not repeat again and again. It's a hand is went backside and it's completely entirely locked. To have the complete effect of the posture, I should stay there and take few breaths. Maximum 12 breaths. It's dependent upon the individual capacity. So these are all static posture. Body gets locked in particular position. I could not repeat. Another typical example for the static posture is Ushtrasana. So it is completely entirely. I asked my upper back as well as lower back.
Not hearing, sir.
Couldn't hear you. Hello.
We can hear
Hello?
you. We can hear you. Yeah. We can hear
Sir,
you.
hear you, sir. You can
Continue.
voice okay, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm
Sendil
so happy
sir.
just now.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Sendil sir, we have another 4 minutes. If it disconnects,
Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
connect once again, please. Yeah.
Sure, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for that. So this is the typical static position. And later on, I will tell you why it has become so significant for as a yoga teachers and for different asanas. I'm going to discuss here with only few asanas. Maybe if time permits are possible through Ilangon sir or Sridevi ma'am. If you have further doubts, any clarification, always you're most welcome. And you can do a lot of home works. You can do a lot of homeworks with a lot of asanas, and if you have any doubt also, you can approach me. It will be so happy for me. I can help you and share the knowledge which I have little bit. And this is the second sub classification I completed. First one is meaning of the asana. Second is classification under that static or dynamic, and that's a subtopic. Under the classification, standing. Then it's a Purvatana, Paschima. Then dynamic, symmetrical, asymmetrical. Then fourth one is dynamic or static. Then third classification, very, very important. With what breath I am reaching that particular posture. For example, I told you here, I am starting with Samasthiti. On inhalation, I reach the goal posture. So it is on inhalation based posture. Exhalation and coming back. If you want me to draw some other vinyasa krama, small vinyasa asana practice, so I am standing. I am going to take the example of Trikonasana, very simple asana. Standing from Samasthiti, I am spreading my legs sideways and hands by the sides. On inhalation, what I will do, I will raise my hands up to shoulder level. On exhalation, I'll be moving to one side. My right hand will go to the left leg. Right hand touches the left leg. There will be a twist. Okay. So I am starting from here, from Samasthiti position. From this position, no breathing, just normal breath. I'm spreading my legs sideways, hands by the sides of the body. Sorry with my figures if it is not very proper. Okay, pardon me for that. And inhalation, I am raising my arms up to shoulder level. On exhalation, I am reaching the Trikonasana Parivritti Veda. So this is the final posture. What the breath I am using it when I reach that final posture on exhalation. So if I classify this asana, as I was telling you, okay, this is reaching on exhale. I will entirely classify earlier how I was telling you the classification. So I'm reaching on exhalation. So this is an exhalation based posture. This is the final posture. And what I will do when I want to come out of that posture, from here again inhalation, I'll be coming back to the arm shoulder level up position. Then exhalation, I'll be bringing my hands down. Then legs are together. Each time I won't do this. Maybe 6 times if I do left and right, then and finally I'll come to the Samasthiti position. So what are the things classification I was sharing with you? Based on that, I'm going to classify this sequence. So if I see what is the meaning of this asana, Trikonasana, okay, Parivritti. So Trikonasana, we know that Kona means angle position, triangle position. Trikonasana, triangle position, and it is called